Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bold and the Beautiful News official YouTube channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribers button and give this video a thumbs up. The build-up, strange behavior, unanswered questions. Ridge begins to notice Taylor behaving differently. At first, it's subtle. She's avoiding family dinners, skipping meetings at Forrester International, disappearing for long stretches, and constantly silencing her phone. Brooke casually mentions seeing Taylor at the hospital, but Taylor denies it. When pressed, she offers vague explanations, charity work, patient emergencies. But Ridge's instincts flare. He knows her. Something's off. Then, one night, he catches Taylor in a lie. She said she was in Big Bear. But her car GPS? It logged a route to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, under a private wing. Steffi's whispers, Thomas's fears, Mom's hiding something. Meanwhile, Steffi finds a locked drawer in Taylor's office. Inside, an old photo of Ridge, and another woman. A death certificate. A hospital report with Taylor's name as emergency contact. Thomas confronts his mother, but she grows agitated and tearfully begs him to stay out of it. Some things are better left buried, she whispers. Steffi isn't convinced. She contacts Dr. Lee Finnegan, who shockingly says Taylor has been visiting someone every week. Someone in long-term care. But who? The phone call that shatters reality. Ridge finally follows Taylor to the hospital. He sees her sitting at the bedside of an unconscious patient, a woman, bandaged, pale, breathing through machines. Taylor weeps silently and whispers, "I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." Ridge steps into the room. Taylor gasps. The patient? Morgan DeWitt. Yes. The woman who once stalked Taylor and kidnapped Steffi. But there's more. Taylor isn't just visiting Morgan. She's been hiding her. The night that changed everything, flashback to the truth. Taylor breaks down and confesses. That night, years ago, when Morgan was presumed dead? She wasn't. Turns out Taylor had accidentally struck Morgan with her car after an explosive confrontation about Steffi. But instead of calling 911, she called Jack Hamilton, who helped her secretly admit Morgan into a private hospital wing, off the books. Why? Because Morgan had blackmail material on both Taylor and Ridge, including a secret that could send Ridge to prison. Taylor thought she was protecting Ridge, and her family. But now Morgan has woken up, and she remembers everything. Ridge's breakdown, "You let me live a lie." Ridge is shattered. The woman he trusted most covered up an attempted manslaughter, faked a death, and lied for over a decade. "I don't even know who you are anymore," Ridge whispers. But Taylor has more to reveal. She's not just a threat to us, Taylor says. She's been working with someone. Someone inside Forrester. And then she drops the bombshell. It's Brooke. Brooke's involvement, or is Taylor lying? The plot thickens. Taylor insists that Morgan blackmailed Brooke as well, and that the Logan matriarch has been secretly funneling money to keep Morgan's silence for years. But Brooke denies everything. Ridge is stuck in the middle, two women he's loved more than life itself, and one of them is lying. Or maybe both are. Then a USB drive is discovered in Morgan's hospital room, with footage from inside the Forrester estate, taken years ago, surveillance Ridge never knew existed. The child who never was, the biggest shock. As if it couldn't get more tragic, Ridge plays the final file on the drive. The footage shows Morgan revealing something stunning to Taylor, moments before the accident. "You thought I lost the baby, but I didn't. Your daughter, Taylor, your first daughter with Ridge, she's alive." Yes, before Steffi and Phoebe, Taylor had a daughter Ridge never knew about, one Morgan had stolen at birth under the guise of a stillbirth. And now? That child could be anywhere. Or, could she be working at Forrester already under a false identity? Daphne Rose enters the chat. The search for the missing daughter. Ridge, shaken and desperate, launches a private investigation to locate this mysterious daughter. Taylor, terrified, tries to shut it down, afraid of what might surface. Meanwhile, Daphne starts having strange flashbacks. Dreams. Deja vu. DNA samples are taken. Results pending. But before the truth can drop, Morgan disappears from her hospital bed. Gone. No trace. No witnesses. And the only person seen entering her room? Hope Logan. Chaos at Forrester, who's really in control? Forrester Creations descends into chaos. Ridge bans Taylor from the building. Brooke demands answers from Hope. Thomas begins spiraling, believing he has a half-sister he never knew about. Steffi takes over the company, and fires Zend for suspicious activity tied to Morgan's fund. Then the paternity results return. Daphne? She's Taylor and Ridge's biological daughter. Ridge makes his choice, but it costs everything. Ridge, overcome with emotion, goes to Taylor and says, "You took my daughter from me." Again. But Taylor begs forgiveness. She insists she was manipulated. That she never knew the truth. That she's been a victim too. Ridge walks away. Straight into Brooke's arms? No. He goes to Daphne. And he whispers, "Let me make it right, even if it's too late." A family rewritten, but the past never dies. Taylor leaves Los Angeles. Ridge tries to connect with Daphne, but it's clear she's been raised by someone else entirely, someone who hates the Forresters. Morgan's last message? A warning. Bold and the beautiful Daphne sabotages Hope and Carter's dream marriage. June 20th, 2025. Belinda Gates Turner Carter Walton, Daphne Rose, Hope Logan Bold and the beautiful suckers. We've got Daphne Rose back on the scene soon, and she may stir up some trouble when the recently engaged couple, Hope Logan and Carter Walton, have their big day. We're going to talk about Daphne coming back to LA and whether she'll crash Hope's marriage and steal The Bachelor. Will Daphne's return to Forrester Creations beget wedding chaos for Hope and Carter? So, lately Steffi Forrester called Daphne to talk incense and she asked her to come back to Forrester Creations. Now, obviously Steffi wants Daphne to come back because she's a big mega hit with their followership. She has a men's line of cologne coming out that would be good for FC. So, for Steffi it's, substantially about business. But Hope is on fire and upset about her relationship and she thinks ever that should be the precedence. And can I just say who sits in a business meeting holding hands like Carter and Hope were doing? I mean, I know they all boink on the settees in the CEO and design services, but workers shouldn't be sitting and holding hands in a meeting with the co-CEO. It's just not professional. Bold and beautiful Steffi gets Daphne back. Steffi eventually managed to get Hope and Carter on board with bringing Daphne back, indeed though they were both a bit nervous about it. And also Carter assured Hope she has nothing to worry about. And he thinks Daphne will admire their engagement. I misdoubt it, however. And Steffi doesn't suppose Hope has anything to worry about either. I differ there as well. But although Carter and Hope eventually accepted it, we're going to see Steffi facing some pushback from that quarter. On the last occasion of this week, Carter seems to be pressing Steffi about not bringing back Daphne. Carter goes to her and Ridge Forrester about it, and it sounds like Carter's trying to talk the co-CEOs out of bringing Daphne back by. But Steffi point blank tells Carter they're not going to let Hope's passions stop a smart business decision that could ameliorate Forrester Creations' nethermost line. Plus, Steffi's still working on getting Daphne to agree to return. Daphne's response and flashbacks: is a reunion with Carter inevitable? Steffi gave Daphne he heads up, by the way, if you didn't see that Carter and Hope are engaged. And Daphne wasn't happy to hear that. And she said that the cologne will vend without her. And she reminded Steffi why she left. She fell for Carter and he chose Hope. So Daphne told Steffi she just can't do it. She can't work at Forrester and she can't keep allowing about Carter. But also Daphne hung up the phone with Steffi and that's exactly what she did. She started groaning and we got all the flashbacks of her falling for Carter. Daphne was flashing back to kissing Carter and him telling her that she's remarkable. So, no, Daphne isn't going to be suitable to stay down. It shouldn't be too long before she's back in Los Angeles. And I knew she wasn't going to stay gone because the actress has solidly remained in the contract section of the credit. So, I had no mistrustfulness she'd be back. And formerly Daphne has the chance to really suppose about Steffi's offer. I suppose she may see it as a sign that she needs to head back to LA and fight for Carter. I mean, it's not like Hope and Carter are getting wedded hereafter, you know? So, Daphne may come back for business reasons, but also not be suitable to help herself and may start pursuing Carter again. Deacon Sharp's disapproval. Will Hope's father intervene in her engagement? In the meantime, Notoriety Differently is unhappy about Hope being engaged to Carter as well. That's Hope's father, Deacon Sharp. By the end of this week, Hope heads over to see her pater and shows Cleric her engagement ring, tells him about the offer, and rather than just felicitating Hope, looks like Deacon's going to try and talk her out of it. He asks Hope if she's sure about this engagement. And Deacon reminds her that Carter was before all that drama at Forrester Creations. It's not that long ago that crack up getting her fired and all of that. So, we're going to have Cleric pushing on Hope to review marrying him. Marriage dwellers and alternate chances. Will history repeat itself for Carter? And also, of course, Carter was tempted by Daphne and looks like that's going to come full circle. So, formerly Steffi convinces Daphne to return. She'll have a little bit of time to worm her way closer to Carter because the marriage probably wasn't going to be for a while. But with Daphne returning, you know, perhaps Hope's going to protest that marriage planning into high gear out of paranoia and make plans to marry him as soon as possible. So, what I'd like to see is Carter and Hope make it to the balcony and also Daphne runs in and she crashes the marriage and she steals Carter from the bridegroom. I could completely see Daphne pulling a trick like Quinn Fuller did. Flashback that? Wasn't that long agone? I suppose it was like 3 times agone. Carter was at the balcony ready to marry Paris Buckingham when Quinn came bursting in and she told him she loved him and said, "Do'n't marry Paris. Choose me." And guess what? If you do'n't flashback, Carter dumped the bridegroom and he left with the marriage host. So, if Daphne shows up and interrupts, this would be Carter's alternate marriage intruded by a woman determined to steal him. Hope and Carter, will they make it down the aisle? But if Daphne does intrude their espousal, would Carter actually leave Hope at the balcony like he did to Paris? Well, if you flash back, Carter got started with Quinn while they were both betraying her hubby, his good friend Eric Forrester. It started out sketchy and also Eric actually gave authorization because he was having those ED issues. It was so gross. And also ultimately Carter and Quinn developed commodity veritably deep and passionate. Now, to separate, as of now, Carter hasn't known Daphne that long. They've only participated a kiss. They've not been intimate, but she did tell Carter she's fallen for him. So, at least from Daphne's side, there's commodity deep and passionate. And perhaps it'll turn that way for Carter soon once she's got a chance to start picking at him again. But, as of this moment in time, I suppose Hope would get her, I do, with Carter and they would be hubby and woman. And indeed if Daphne fractured in, like if the marriage was coming weak, I do'n't suppose Carter would leave Hope at the balcony and run off. Not yet. It's the yet that's got me. Once Daphne returns, she's going to have some time to work on Carter. And Daphne might indeed try to, you know, go at it from another angle, drive Hope near to Liam Spencer, especially formerly Daphne finds out he's dying. And you know I know, Daphne and Deacon might conspire to get Hope to break up with Carter. So, by the time Hope's marriage day arrives, we could see Carter feeling veritably equivocal and perhaps torn between Hope versus Daphne. You know, that's a big recreating commonplace on Bold and the Beautiful. The doubtful endgame is Hope fated to return to Liam? And like I've said before, I just do'n't see Carter and Hope being wind up on Bold and the Beautiful. First of all, because Carter no way ever works out with anyone. And second, Hope generally wafts back over to Liam ultimately. So we know that she told Liam she loved him and that he was her future while Carter was wiretapping. And that was 5 twinkles before Hope ran to Carter to tell him she wanted to be with him. And he was like, "No, Hope, I heard you talking to Liam." And she's like, "Oh, no. You just knew." It was just like, no anyway, I really wonder if Hope only went back to Carter because Liam pushed her and he's dying. As of now, Hope doesn't suppose there's any chance of a future with Liam because of his terminal excrescence, and she wants to recognize his wishes to see her settle down before he dies. Not to say Hope doesn't love Carter to some extent, but I do suppose that she still sees Liam as her soulmate, her fortune, if you want to use that terrible word. And if Liam ever survives the brain cancer, which seems enough probably, Carter could lose Hope anyway. So if the marriage is a couple of months from now, Daphne might actually stand a chance if she crashes Hope's big day and makes a play for The Bachelor. Steffi's sly move, business or sabotage? Steffi Forrester, ever the fierce co-CEO, lit the fuse by inviting Daphne back to Forrester Creations. On paper, it was all business. The men's cologne line Daphne created was testing off the charts. But savvy fans know better. Steffi had her eye on more than revenue. Bringing Daphne back? That was a power play. A control move. And maybe, a setup. Sure, she assured Carter and Hope that Daphne's return wouldn't be a problem. But Steffi knew exactly what she was doing. She dangled Daphne in front of the newly engaged couple, knowing full well the lingering chemistry, unspoken words, and unfinished business. Carter and Hope, the unsteady foundation. At the center of this slow-burning fire is Hope Logan, glowing with optimism but simmering with insecurity. Her relationship with Carter Walton has all the fairy tale markings, on the surface. But underneath? Trouble brews. Let's talk facts. Hope is still emotionally tethered to Liam Spencer, who just dropped the bombshell about his terminal brain tumor. Carter is carrying emotional baggage from past betrayals, including the infamous Quinn interruption. Hope and Carter got together after a whirlwind of trauma, guilt, and heartbreak. And now they want to get married? Hope may want to believe this engagement is her new beginning, but viewers see it for what it is, emotional triage. Daphne Rose, the return of a temptress. Cue the flashbacks. Cue the soft focus scenes of stolen kisses. Cue the remorse that smells a lot like temptation. Daphne Rose, heartbroken and humiliated, walked away from Carter and LA once. But when Steffi called with a chance to return to the fragrance line, everything changed. Daphne tried to resist. She said the cologne would sell without her. She reminded Steffi, and herself, why she left. But you can't perfume over a broken heart. After the call, she collapsed into memories of Carter's praise, his lips, his warmth. She remembered being told she was remarkable. And in true soap style, she wasn't just remembering, she was planning. Deacon's dilemma, dad mode activated. Hope wasn't just facing friction with Daphne. Her other challenge? Her fiercely loyal father, Deacon Sharp. When Hope showed him her engagement ring, she expected congratulations. What she got was skepticism. Deacon grilled her on her decision. Was she really in love with Carter? Or was this a reaction to Liam's diagnosis? Was she rushing into marriage with a man who once betrayed her trust? And then Deacon went full Papa Bear, reminding her that Carter once played a role in the drama that got her fired. Translation: Deacon wants what's best for Hope, and he's not convinced Carter is it. But what happens if Deacon and Daphne team up? The man who once loved chaos could be the one to create it, again. Hope and Carter, a wedding in flames? If Steffi succeeds in bringing Daphne back, the next logical step for Hope is panic. And panic often leads to poor decisions, like fast-tracking a wedding. Hope might believe that sealing the deal sooner will protect her relationship from Daphne's influence. But history says otherwise. Let's rewind. Carter was once ready to marry Paris Buckingham, until Quinn crashed the wedding. She burst through the doors, declared her love, and Carter left the bride standing alone at the altar. Will history repeat itself? Daphne's master plan, the wedding crash of the decade. Here's how it could go down. Round pushpin: Daphne returns under the pretense of work. Round pushpin: she keeps a low profile, at first. Round pushpin: but when she sees Carter up close, all bets are off. Round pushpin she works behind the scenes to trigger Hope's insecurities. Round pushpin she bonds with Deacon, who also wants the engagement called off. Round pushpin and when the wedding day comes, she crashes it. Daphne shows up mid-ceremony. Gasps echo through the crowd. She walks toward Carter, trembling but defiant. And then she delivers the line. "Carter, don't do this. Not again. Not to me. Not to yourself." Sound familiar? Because it's exactly what Quinn did, and it worked. Carter's choice, past or present? Carter's emotional compass is fragile. He's never had lasting love. And when Daphne's eyes lock with his, memories will flood back. Hope, already fragile from Liam's illness, might start second-guessing everything. And Carter, pulled between the stability of hope and the fire of Daphne, could once again become the groom who leaves a woman at the altar. And here's the soap twist, it wouldn't even be his fault. Because when you've got two women, one dying ex-husband, one interfering father, and a co-CEO fanning the flames, someone's going to get burned. Is Hope doomed to loop back to Liam? This is the bold and the beautiful. And if there's one thing we know, it's this. Hope always circles back to Liam. She's declared him her destiny more times than viewers can count. And right before she ran to Carter, she whispered to Liam that he was still her future. Then she turned around and proposed to Carter. It wasn't genuine. It was panic. Grief. Desperation. So what happens if Liam survives? If he lives, Hope may leave Carter voluntarily, and Daphne won't even have to steal him. She'll simply pick up the pieces. Daphne and Deacon, unlikely allies? Picture this, Deacon finds out Daphne's back. She tells him she loves Carter. He tells her he wants Hope out of this marriage. Suddenly, they have a shared goal. Deacon knows how to manipulate. Daphne knows how to seduce. Together? They could tear Hope and Carter apart from both ends. A scheme of whispers, rumors, and gentle nudges could fracture Hope's confidence and push Carter right into Daphne's arms. The wedding to end all weddings? So will this wedding even happen? Possible outcomes. Wedding goes off without a hitch, until Daphne shows up with a bombshell, literally or figuratively. Carter panics and calls it off last minute, confessing unresolved feelings. Hope walks away, realizing she's only marrying Carter to avoid grieving Liam. Daphne exposes a secret Carter's been hiding, blowing the wedding apart. Deacon interrupts with a bombshell DNA test, paternity twist, or corporate sabotage.